Kill Doc Ock if he hit him with his full punch.
Yeah. Granted, in that case, he
He
does
would
seem to draw
cripple
shit
his
out a little
freaking
bit.
adamantium arms.
He does seem to draw that shit out a little bit. I mean, okay, I punched him once. He didn't go down. I'll punch him slightly harder. Okay, now he's down.
He does have the weakness of fabulous.
Hi guys, this is Matt from D4tification, also known as Cater.
This is the Baron.
Imagine.
Lou.
So what are we talking about today, Mr. Illustrious Host?
Oh, today we're going around a round table of discussions about different questions and topics. Most of them I looked up on Reddit. So thank you, Reddit, for your questions, r/D&D.
We still don't know who this guy is. He just showed up. We found him by the dumpster.
Guy on the couch.
He plays.
They said ask a GM, so I'm like, ask a Gummy Master soon.
Gummy bastard.
And this is where we
Okay,
actually
hold on.
introduce our
Finish that.
contest. The best name that you can think of for him, we will start naming him.
Excellent. Post your name for our friend here in the comments below.
Yes. Make them hilarious.
I am screwed.
It's your own fault.
All right. So for our first question is, how do you handle a Munchkin or a Power Gamer within a campaign?
So, as a GM, what do you guys think? Lou. Lou has something. I see his mind working.
He's all.
I did have
Okay,
something.
well, in my experiences, in my 20 some odd years of dungeon mastering, because I'm the biggest damn nerd, I have run into a couple of power games. My gaming experience is literally old enough to drink. I have been playing this game since I was 13. That much time has been spent almost entirely DMing. So, power gamers, munchkins, whatever you want to call them, jerks. I believe in order to figure out how to deal with them, how to cope with that, is to actually figure out why they're doing it. There's cheating at Dungeons and Dragons.
That's pretty bad.
You're cheating at being the nerdiest nerdy thing. I'm not going to call you out.
King of the nerds! King of the nerds!
It's like when you have that game and then the thief is over there trying to steal and everybody's watching it.
Yeah.
And it's like,
But a lot of it, I believe, is a miscommunication. They don't understand the game. This goes for a lot of problem characters. You also get the brooding loner who doesn't want to actually be part of the group. At its core, D&D is, or any role-playing game, is a group effort. Now, on a much nerdier example, Wolverine from the X-Men is the loner. He's the, Wolverine is the brooding, the loner, all that stuff. But he's still part of a team. He still works well with the others and all that stuff.
unless you want your wife.
Who doesn't have a thing for redheads? I'm just saying. Well, you're foreign.
Spider-Man. Did you just play Spider-Man?
Spider-Man.
His redhead was a fallback. I just watched.
Okay.
I watched the second movie.
So he doesn't.
Spoiler
He has a
alert.
thing for blondes in the reboot. Sorry.
Okay, here we go.
Yeah.
But also a lot of them are from older editions,
Mhm.
like AD&D stuff, where the camaraderie.
Camaraderie.
He said.
Commodity.
Commodity.
Commissary.
Karma chameleon.
Rosengarten. Gardenhauser.
Back in the day, second edition was a lot of it's the players versus the DM. The DMs got it in their mind that beat the players, so a lot of these power gamers started as DMs.
Mhm.
I think,
Yeah.
at least in my experience. They got to understand that it's not about winning the game. It is about a group effort. You don't have. You want to be the baddest mother effer in the room, then go home.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's about. You don't have to do everything in the party. You don't have to be the best spellcaster. You don't have to be the best rogue. You don't have to be the best fighter. You just have to pick a role and fill it.
Well, not only that, but I'm also seeing that what you're describing is basically the philosophy of Dungeon Masters 4.0, the DM guide.
Yeah.
You're like, I don't think you should be able to like get into the person's head and say, hey, I want to know why you are being a power gamer, because everybody wants to be a power gamer.
Everybody wants to.
Everybody wants a power game. They want to have a role in the game. So it's not there to sit there and think, why are you doing this? It's obvious why they want to do this. They want to cause damage.
Mm-hmm.
There's two ways of actually doing it. The first way is kill him. Just flat out kill him if you don't want to. But the thing is you don't also
In
want
character.
Disclaimer. In game.
Yes, yes. We have to clarify that.
Reduce his hit points to a negative number, not hit him with a car.
The other thing too is the fact that you're the DM. You have total control of the environment and how they respond to whatever they're interacting with.
Right.
Maybe not necessarily their response, but basically when they come out and try and be a power gamer, punish them for it.
However, new ones to the game are afraid to fail. Therefore, they won't take into account, like they'll build this character that can do all this stuff, but if there's something they haven't taken a negative to, they won't do.
Yeah, like
It's
if
all
they have
or
a
nothing.
-2 to their wisdom check, they're going to do everything they can to avoid wisdom or oriented things.
Now, if you're to deal with a character in-game, as you just mentioned, you should not, as a DM, go out of your way to be unfair. If they rush in before you're done describing some fine detail, and they die as a result of a trap or a hidden monster or something, that's their fault. They screwed up, whatever. But you just can't go rocks fall, everyone dies, because you're really just painting a new problem on the old.
Yeah, I think that actually addresses the main thing that I was thinking of, is that there's power players and there's also power GMs. And like trolls on the internet, if you acknowledge them, some of the best approaches with power gamers is just to let them do what they were going to do. Right. AKA, we had a player in one of our campaigns that wanted to kick in the door all the time. Let him. And tell him what the consequences of that are. Using your GMing skills to be able to let the story do the work for you to take that power game out of the question.
An example I have is that a guy who would always go for the most powerful, best magic item. Built all his characters so he could walk into a room, detect magic, determine what was the most valuable item, and grab that. So I built a room where there was a square room, an orb in the middle on a pedestal. And there's runes all around the room. So you're reading runes. He's like, all right, well, you read, this orb was used during the War of the Magi. It protects the holder from all magic. So the gun guy goes, oh, I grab it. And I'm like, excellent, you grab it. Everything you have on you is dispelled. Protects you from all magic. Not just negative, but beneficial. Dispels everything.
Not just outside sources, just whatever you happen to have on you as well.
Exactly.
They
So
dispel
his
magic.
bag of holding erupts, throwing everything everywhere. Horrible hole hits the
I
ground.
just picture
Bag of
like
vomit.
if that
Yeah.
happened to Mary Poppins, just like blah, like, just a lamp
whole
comes
bag
flying,
just shooting
a lamp,
loose.
a Buick comes flying out, just a horse, like that stuff.
Yeah,
Was
exactly.
she feeding
But
it? I don't know.
at that point, he had built so much time and money to getting the best items he possibly can to maximize his character. Go on to the next question. I'm feeling underwhelmed as a first-time DM. Any pointers?
Underwhelmed?
Underwhelmed?
Overwhelmed.
If you are underwhelmed, you're doing something right.
You know what? As a DM, I have been underwhelmed with my own game. I have this giant maps and tricks and traps and treasures and puzzle problems, all that stuff, and the players are like, I just blow a hole in the wall.
I have the whole town worth of NPCs
that is-
and items.
Just tonight, not an hour ago, I'm DMing this game. All the guys walk into this room, all these different colored lanterns. The lanterns are a clue. They have not found the way to open these secret doors, right? They almost just, I know, there's they can almost consider just smashing the bad guy with the Green Lantern on there. No,
Willpower!
but they got aggravated and they were like, we can't find the secret door. You know what? Screw it. We're in this thing for profit. We're just going to grab all these lanterns and sell them.
Think of what type of GM you are. The architect, well, you're building a house, they know where every window is, they know where every outlet is.
Right.
That's the person who writes out their entire campaign. Then there's the gardener. They plant the seed, they have kind of an idea what the plant's going to look like at the end, and it's the person that kind of goes with the flow and kind of basically lets the players determine the story. And both are really good methods.
And that's good. That's really good to be able to identify what kind of a DM do you really want to be. You don't really want to tackle too much at one time. I mean, especially if you're a first-time DM, you want to make sure. Like me, I started out with dungeon crawling. I was always 100% dungeon crawling. Here's your entrance. Here's your exit. Go from A to B. And eventually, I pulled them out of that and started engaging with other NPCs or start rooms or whatnot in forests and start throwing in new things. And it seemed to really grow from that point.
Exactly what you need for that day. Now, there is a fine middle ground that you can walk with that. If you know for a fact that they're going into a dungeon, or they're going to meet these people, or go to this town, yes, architect it.
Yep.
Anything else, let it go naturally. Do not.
Players will derail your plans faster than you can put them together.
And the opposite side too is they can actually help you with your plan.
Yes.
Believe it or not, I got some of my best ideas from Squirrel.
Dungeons and Dragons is nothing more than building sandcastles.
Yep.
You've got to build the castle fast before the water takes it away, before the tide comes in. The players are the tide.
Yep. I had this huge idea of giving the group in this dragon horde. I gave them a huge mech, this huge power armor, and on their escape, they got assaulted. And on this escape, they blew up this awesome mech that I gave them.
To be fair, as a player in that campaign, I just have to say one thing. We were facing a dragon.
The mech had a nuclear engine. You've been a player for a while and you're like, I want a DM. Grab a module. It's a great fallback. They're good stories. And don't be afraid to break away from what it's written down.
Right.
It says, this is, the plot. But the players go, we're going to go to this section. You're like, but that section's in the next chapter. Go there.
Mm-hmm.
Scale it back a bit. You want the story to flow. You want your players to have fun. If you're not having fun, that's the problem.
Those modules used to be games that were ran by older GMs.
Yes.
They wrote them based on their campaign. Start with a module, and don't feel bad if you have to kind of deviate from it. It'll teach you how to improvise.
1 week at work, you'll realize that you've spent the last 12 to 15 hours building a world.
Mm-hmm.
Like that right there. Okay, so what makes a good villain?
It goes back to the first question. How do you take care of a Munchkin player? Let them play for a while, let the group start to kind of dislike them a little bit, and then make them the villain.
So turning a PC into a villain.
Yes, I have done it at least twice. I had one that did it, actually was horrible at it. He goes, I really don't want to be the villain anymore. I said, too late. Like, I lost my whole fortune. I'm like, that's because you were a stupid villain.
One thing I've noticed is if you are to design a perfect villain, never make them too perfect.
Right.
I have had a DM make a villain who was an intriguing and great villain, but because he knew the rules inside and out, the villain's plot and scheme was so in-depth and so detailed that there was absolutely no way that we could ever figure it out or beat it. Part of having a good villain is making the villain memorable in any movie, in any story. Something they do causes the hero to find a chink in their armor.
Mm-hmm.
You know, whether it be
Arrogance.
or just a little shtick they do. Any Batman villain, they have a theme. The Joker does jokey things. The Riddler's always asking stupid questions.
He
know what?
gives you the answer to his crime. Because if this is where I am, you can figure out my riddle. He
Yes.
tells you exactly how to catch him.
Right.
Yep.
Exactly. The DM can make it difficult, not make it impossible, to have the players they'll win. The players are always the heroes of the story. They should always win. You know, they are progressing your story forward because DMing is only about storytelling.
True.
It's all about your narrative.
Mm-hmm. The villain isn't the story. Find out what the player's motivation is and make the villain move the story along.
If the villain has a secret lair, do not make the lair impenetrable. Let the heroes get in. Let them get creative about how they do it.
Mm-hmm.
You did not design this villain to just sit back, cackle, and twirl his thumbs.
What I think makes a good villain is it's you love to hate him. I like doing is you create a character, be an NPC or something. The players have interacting with, they become friends with. They begin to give an attachment to that character. Then there's the betrayal.
Mm-hmm.
There's that hook. They went evil, or they took a separate path, and maybe the
Or
players
they took money.
yeah, or maybe the players don't hate that person, but the guy chose the other side of the army.
Curse your sudden but inevitable betrayal.
These are all really great ideas with the villain itself. That's when a villain is actually totally established. But if you don't have a villain idea or villain that you want to reinstate every time or every game, they will actually tell you just say, hey, that was a really great villain. I love to play that guy, and I really want to kill him. Then you know that you have to bring him back in.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, wait
And let him get away. Have him get away. They're like,
They always
got him, and he gets away, and they're like, and so they come after him
Or
again.
you make him think that he's dead, but he comes back with a robotic eye or something.
Now he's a lich.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You've got him cornered and you kill him. Oh no, it was a clone, or oh no, it was
Doppelganger.
a doppelganger,
That's
or
true.
an evil robot. Yeah, not every villain has to be Dr. Evil. It has to be the giant evil blackguard. It doesn't have to always be the big guy. You're bad. It doesn't have to be this giant, grandiose megalomaniac with the monologue and all the secret, the evil layer and all that shit. It just has to be the guy who is throwing a wrench in.
One thing that I really like to do is do a random chart when I start to make characters and have each person roll for how many siblings they have and what their relationship is to them. Okay, you have 3 siblings, 2 brothers and a sister. Cool. This is your nemesis. These other 2 you're friendly with. And you have to think of an idea of why, and that builds into your story, and that is a perfect festering ground for villains.
The more personable you can make your villains too. It's one thing to have I'm going to rescue the princess, and have the princess over a vat of acid. Okay, yeah, sure, it's a princess, she's important, we gotta get her. It's different if it's your little sister, or if it's a cousin, or your puppy. You know, make
this puppy's like,
make the players hate the villain on a personal level.
Or you find out that the princess isn't captive, she's the villain, and she set it all up to begin with.
Poor Bowser.
Yeah.
Oh, I hate this dragon. How can I get rid of him? I'll stick the plumber on him.
So we're going to go around the group, starting with the nameless GM. What is the most shocking death you've witnessed in the game?
I think the most shocking death I ever witnessed in a game was the time that I had a group of characters basically going through this dungeon, and we had a bard who decided that he wanted to have fun with a Rod of Wonder. For people who have played D&D, Rod of Wonder is a staff that has a lot of spells, basically, and I'm talking random spells.
Not even spells, it's just random nonsense effects.
He was all like, oh, there's this glass in the way. I'm gonna break it with the Rod of Wonder. He casts it. All of a sudden, it says, it goes off. Okay. He shrinks.
Does the Rod of Wonder even have any offensive capabilities?
Yes. It has fireball in it. So, he shrunk himself. They're here. Another PC in the group decided to actually shatter the glass like a smart person.
Yeah.
And so he goes in again. He's all like, I'm going to free you. Rod of Wonder again. Shrinks himself again. So by the time he's about 3 inches tall, he's Mike TV size. Ready for you to be able to look at it. And so he's like, okay, I'm going to be able to make sure I fix this. He casts it one more time. Summons a tornado of butterflies. In a 5 foot by 5 foot room. So there's like 600 butterflies flying around this room. Wouldn't be too bad, except he tries to save himself by casting it again. Enlarging all of the butterflies. Basically suffocating the room.
Yeah. He's attacked by a tornado of Mothra at this point.
His decisive, yes.
At this point, they're here. We considered him lost.
Surprising death.
Shocking death.
Well, okay.
Well, let's click on your PS7 and
Download it to your Apple iHeart.
So
You just gave
You
me an
have
idea.
337 days left.
It has Bluetooth.
Son of a bitch. So we made up our own rules on the fly. Basically, the DM, who was his skills were lacking. We had 2 kids who wanted to play Kender Wild mages. So here's what we did: we rolled percentile, 50% divine, 50% arcane. Then we rolled dice to see what level, and then we rolled a dice to see what spell on that level. We really went by the charts in the book, and that's how we did it. It was completely random, completely rolled. We had a game that was completely hinged around one of the guys. He wanted to play a vampire. We were kind of literally railroaded into a mission to do this task for his vampire master. He was supposed to come along and make sure we did the right thing. Everything hinged on his character and his vampire master. The vampire, I guess for whatever reason, decided he needed to take a snack break. Decides to grab one of the Kenders and take a chomp. The Kender wriggled free and cast a spell. Disintegration. Literally, one shot at the vampire, turned him into a pile of fine dust. Done. Next initiative, the Kender's twin wild mage brother. I want to cast a spell too.
On what?
The pile of ash.
Okay.
Roll randomly. Divine. True resurrection.
Oh god.
I'm big evil vampire. Now I'm pile of dust. Now I'm human again. Wait, you're human now, and you're no longer thralled to this vampire, and he no longer has any say in what we do? F it, we're at it.
If I had to pick one, I'm going to go with this orc barbarian. And it was just it was literally to the beginning of the game. We were probably level 2. and probably just recently reached that level. And a friend of ours actually brought in a critical miss deck. I'm sure you've seen. Now, how basically it goes is that whenever you roll a 1, you draw a card, and there's only one card in that deck that does this. Not only do you miss, but you also hit yourself with your own weapon and do double damage.
Ow.
First time we ever drew that card, or used that deck, we draw that card. The guy rolls, he's charging with his battle axe. And as DM says, he throws that axe, completely misses, plants it into the ground, trips over a rock, and lands on the axe. Please roll a new character. Double damage on a barbarian's axe.
Yep. That would do it.
The second one I'm going to actually bring up as well is that there's an extremely OP, overpowered grasshopper, I bet you can say. I'm not even sure what the name of the race is.
Grass? Oh, the Thrikeen.
Okay, Thrikeen.
Mantis people. Dark
And
Sun.
he was against an epic villain. He was going up against an epic villain. I mean, just this massive thing. It was going to go up, and we're on top of this mountain of some sort, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it had this great view. It was going to be an awesome Star Wars, lightsaber battle going on in D&D. So
Okay.
right, so you get the picture. So the thing is that he, the one thing that he really put a lot of his stats into was being able to jump. That was the main thing he could do. He jump. Well, what he ended up doing is he charged the villain and did a double leg drop and jumped off the guy's chest.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
The villain goes whoop, off the cliff.
That
was it.
Just one hit him with a leg press.
Yeah.
Basically.
Failed his reflex, and he forgot to learn how to fly.
So Eric, what's your
A lot
most
of
shocking?
Minecrafters was lost to the lights.
What's Eric's most shocking death?
So most shocking death would probably have to be, we were playing Warhammer Fantasy, the tabletop game. He knows this one. And we go into this battle. And there's these chaos minions. I'm playing a Priest of Sigmar. And my buddy is playing a Red Wizard. About Fire Mage.
I was there for this one too.
So we go in. This guy's like, haha, big bad voodoo. We take this guy down. He's about dead. My friend the wizard goes, I'm going to cast a fire spell. Now, if you're familiar with Warhammer Fantasy tabletop, if you roll doubles on your dice, a negative spell effect happens. So he pumps up his magic, rolls 3 6s. Worst possible effect, rolls on a percentile to see what happens. He's immediately possessed by a demon. So the horn sprout, he's, I am all evil. So I turn as the holy priest of Sigmar, who is complete devout way of life. Is
with a warhammer.
Yes.
It's the end of the game.
Yeah. Turn and go, I swing at him, because at this point, I believe he has lost to this demon. Now, normally, I should not be able to hurt this demon. My warhammer is not magical. But in the system, if you happen to roll a 10 on your rolls, it's called Sigmar's Fury, and it immediately gets to roll another dice, at which time it acts as a magical weapon. So I roll 3 10s in a row, hit my friend's character square in the head, immediately kill him, and drop him back through the wall.
Wait. The story is missing something very, very important.
I know what it is too.
Can you tell our friends out there here what you said before you rolled that first die?
So as we enter the tent and we see the bad guy, I look forward and say, there's some evil up in this bitch, and it's time to purify a motherfucker.
And we're all laughing around the table there. We're going, yeah. 10. And the look on our friend's face, he's all like,
Yeah, it was like he kicked his puppy.
what?
He was so pissed. Oh my god. It was awesome. He was so mad. He's like, you just team killed me. He's like, I'm a priest. Like,
You were a demon.
I had to purify.
Sorry, bro. Something had to be purified.
Yeah, they were just going to move him temples next week after that anyway. So.
Yeah. Oh man.
Which brings us
to you.
I have 2, and they're very short, but one of them, both of them were when I was GMing actually, and both of them involve your character for some reason. Just loosely, one of them was Baron von Nuts and Bolts, small goblin wizard possessed by 3 different people. He actually had this character possessed, so he has 3 different personalities that are switching back and forth, and he's hiding it from the group. But needless to say, he's actually trying to help the group in this instance. Large group of, this is a futuristic post-apocalyptic game, so we have one heavily armored trooper with a large sky cycle, which is a hover bike. There's 3 Gatling guns on the front of it. And he has 6 dog boys, which are humanoid dogs, riding behind him on smaller sky cycles. And in this group, we have a dragon, we have a large Borg, we have a what we call Psy Stalker, which is a psychic vampire, and then Baron. So, needless to say, Baron tries to help. He's like, I will take care of this. I will cast the spell Wall of Weird. And it casts a spell in front of you. It casts an illusion that puts the most horrific thing in front of you, like a wall of snakes or something like that. It's made to just have a horror factor. If you fail it, you're like, and run away.
Whatever your most innermost fear is, it makes a wall of it.
But it is a radius, which means it affects friendlies as well. So he casts the Wall of Weird, not knowing this, and the dragon goes, and fails his skill check, flies straight up in the air. Because I said, you got to roll this. What would you do? He's like, fight or flight. Would you go straight for the sky cycle, or would you fly up in the air to try and avoid? He goes, I fly straight up. This dragon just goes, woof, pulls his wings up, goes straight up. The sky cycle goes, oh crap! Unloads with all 3 Gatling guns.
Natural 20.
Now, no, not just the natural 20. In order to roll to dodge, he rolled and got a 1. Now in Rifts, the system works, if you get a low dice, you double the damage that's done against you if you critically fail. Also, if you get a critical hit, you double that damage again. So now it's 4 times damage because it was a critical fail and a critical hit from the guns. Over 700 mega damage of damage against the dragon, which has a pretty hefty amount of hit points, but not that much. And just literally went, whoo, and was riddled with bullets and fell to the ground. Mind you, this dragon was the partner of the robot, of the full conversion Borg, who was utterly crushed and proceeded to systematically murder these dog boys. One by one, just Chihuahua, Rottweiler, Bulldogs.
After our Psy Stalker has bonded himself to these dogs and taking control, so he feels every death.
Yes. And the second one was also with his character. It was a Blood Mage. Blood Mage is a really creepy character, usually creeps out most of the other PCs because he has to use blood for magic. He has to cut himself and launch a bolt of blood at you. And he can heal by cutting himself and putting blood over the wound, and it heals. Really creepy. And so he thought, he goes, well, why do I have to use my blood? I'm a Blood Mage, I can use somebody else's blood, which is kind of freaky as well. So he's going against the White Wolf, who is a Master Mage. And in Rifts, when you die, your mana basically doubles and goes into the earth. But you can utilize that, right at the moment of death. If you can siphon off that power as it's traveling into the earth. So he decides to take this 1200 PPE battery and use it in one swift stroke of blood against the dragon, which was right next to the White Wolf.
Which, by the way, was our previous party member, which my goblin had then in turn resurrected as a Draco Lich and hid from the party.
Yes. Needless to say, the bolt of blood was 1200 PPE strong, which did roughly about 36 D6 damage.
No, it was 1d4 times the number of PPE.
Times 1200.
Yeah.
So and we called it the Red Rocket. Because it's just this giant, like, Hadouken, Kamehameha,
Disclaimer.
This red bolt of blood goes through this dragon and just one hit kills it after they just killed the mage. And I'm sitting here as the GM going, what do I do now? I had 2 big bosses here and they both got leveled. But that was like my most shocking death because I was like, everybody was kind of going, well done, sir. Like, that was just, oh, God.
You just gave the dragon hepatitis. Great.
Yeah.
Bloodukin.
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 That one you copyright.
That one we're going to patent. Yeah, Bloodukin. I hope you guys enjoyed this. This is basically GMing 101. We want to continue to do these. We're probably going to try and do these once every couple of weeks if we can. If not everybody wants to do it, some other people can come in. But I think this was pretty fun for the most part.
Yes, definitely.
Yes,
I still need a name.
Say my name, say my name.
Yeah.
Don't know the lyrics.
I'm from the East Coast. I'm a lot more urban than you people.
What do you mean, you people?
So, thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. This was Ask a Dungeon Master. Do you guys have anything to add?
No.
If you have any more questions you would like us to answer, please post below.
Yes, please.
Well, no, wait. There's that. What's that thing they say at every end? And no matter what it is,
Please
we
like and
every
subscribe.
YouTube. Please like, please subscribe. Link in the bottom. Like any suggestions. Like,
Yes, any suggestions?
like no more of me. Thank you. It's like take this blue guy out of here.
Thank you for watching, Force Siders. roll for initiative.